When you think of John Greenleaf Whittier, you might think poet. And sure, he was, but really, Whittier was a fighter. Born on a farm in Haverhill, Massachusetts in 1807, Whittier grew up steeped in Quaker values, things like peace, fairness, and standing up for what's right. And he spent his whole life doing just that. As an adult, he made his home in Amesbury, writing, worshiping, and speaking out against slavery. He didn't just talk about freedom, he fought for it. And he paid a price. His printing press was attacked. His life was threatened.
So we're here at the Macy Colby house because this guy, Thomas Macy, lived here and kind of famously got in a bit of a tussle.
Mm-hmm.
It was such a time in the 1650s.
Yeah, he built it and he lived here for a while. And then there was some big rainstorm in like 1657. And there was a big kerfuffle because he allowed 4 Quakers to come in from the rainstorm. He gave them shelter, but I guess specifically a Quaker preacher or something, which caused a whole big deal with the Puritans, the local Puritans. They censured him and they said, "Hey, dude, you can't do that." Basically, that's word for word what happened. And then he was like, "Screw you guys, I'm out of here." And then he left. But I mean, that wasn't the end of the story, right?
No, for sure. And I mean, it's such an interesting time because everybody comes from England over to here to say, hey, we want to have our religious freedoms.
Exactly.
And then they start setting on each other for having religious arguments. So can't leave good enough alone. John Greenleaf Whittier picked up on all this though. And he was like, this is crazy. This is a shame. So he wrote this whole poem called The Exiles, which is a very long poem about this experience. And in it, he kind of has a little poetic license.
Yes.
He says Macy leaves a little sooner than he did, and he wanted the harshness to ring true that like maybe don't do that to people who are just coming also for religious freedoms. And what's kind of interesting about this story is, so in The Exiles, by the way, he's talking about Deer Island, which is down that way about a mile or so. He's talking about some of the church steeples from here. He's buried 200 footsteps up here. Mm-hmm. He lives a mile there. So like this whole town is steeped in him like tea. Yes. Like he's everywhere. You might even have seen a mural.
That's right.
Whittier's spirit shows up in his work. One of his best-loved poems, Don't Quit, feels like a note from a friend. Rest if you must, but don't you quit. John Greenleaf Whittier didn't just leave behind poems, he left behind a way of living. Speak up. Stand strong. Don't quit. That's Whittier's real gift to us. Hope, courage, and the guts to keep going when it's hard.